The alien flagship's captain had just finished a 2-minute speech about Earth's inevitable surrender. Captain Marcus Kane sipped his coffee, smiled politely, and replied, "Sorry, could you repeat that? I was trying to figure out if I can microwave lasagna in zero gravity." The Virex Dominion flagship, Dread Sovereign, hung in low orbit like a black knife poised over Earth. It was a fortress the size of Manhattan, bristling with weapons, its hull painted in the deep crimson reserved for conquerors. Around it, hundreds of escort ships formed an impenetrable wall. At least, that's what their admirals liked to believe. On the bridge, Captain Zorik Vask leaned forward, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. "Patch me through to their leader," he ordered. "Let us be done with this." The view shifted to a human, mid-40s, brown hair, neatly trimmed beard, Earth Navy dress whites so spotless they almost glowed. He sat with one arm resting casually on the armrest, the other holding a mug. Steam curled lazily from it. "I am Captain Marcus Kane," he said, smiling warmly, like a neighbor greeting you at the mailbox. "And you are?" "I am Vask of the Virex Dominion," the alien declared, his voice low and resonant. "You command Earth's forces?" "I command a ship," Kane said. "Earth's forces? Well, that's a bit more complicated. But sure, let's say yes. What can I do for you?" Vask's eyes narrowed. "Surrender. Disarm. Your planet will be integrated into the Dominion. Resist, and every human city will burn within the hour." Kane took a sip of coffee, nodded as if considering a dinner reservation. "Sorry, could you repeat that? I was trying to figure out if I can microwave lasagna in zero gravity." The alien paused, clearly unsure if he'd been insulted or ignored. "You have one chance, human. Comply." Kane leaned forward, setting his mug down. "One chance, huh? That's generous. Most people only give me half a chance when they hear my karaoke." A ripple of confusion passed across the alien bridge crew. Behind Vask, a younger officer whispered something. Vask waved him silent. "Do you understand the scope of what stands before you?" Vask demanded. "This Armada has shattered empires. Worlds have fallen in our shadow." Kane tilted his head. "Oh, I get it. You've got the biggest fleet, the sharpest sticks, the loudest voice. I just think you're, what's the word, overestimating your position." Some of the alien crew chuckled, pitying laughter for a doomed opponent. Others shifted uneasily. Kane glanced at the chronometer on his console. 14 minutes, 22 seconds. His smile never wavered. "You think your primitive weapons can challenge us?" Vask asked. "I think," Kane said lightly, "you should know humans don't do well with ultimatums. We're stubborn. Comes from a long history of people telling us what to do and us doing the opposite out of spite." He tapped a few keys, and the feed split screen to show Earth's surface. Cities glittering, oceans calm, mountains crowned in snow. "See that?" Kane said. "That's home. We're not in the habit of handing it over to strangers." Vask's tone darkened. "Then you will watch it burn. Or," Kane said, leaning back, "we could skip the whole tragic war thing. Maybe you leave, tell everyone back home Earth's not worth the trouble. I'll even give you a baseball cap for the road." "A cap?" Vask repeated. "Yeah. Worn on the head. Souvenir. Very popular with tourists. Great for covering the, cranial ridges you've got going on." Vask's mandibles twitched. The alien beside him muttered, "Is he mocking us?" Kane kept smiling, but there was a weight behind it now, a subtle shift in his eyes, sharper, colder. "You've been here for what? 23 minutes? Long enough to count how many surface-to-orbit defense platforms you think we have." "We counted none," Vask said. "Exactly," Kane said. "Makes you wonder, doesn't it?" The alien commander ignored the bait. "I grow tired of your games." Good, Kane said, checking the chronometer again. 12 minutes, 48 seconds. We're just getting to the good part. Vask leaned back. Then we will begin the bombard. Kane raised a hand. Before you do, tell me something. In all your conquests, how often have your fleets been this, conveniently gathered in one place? Vask's brow ridges furrowed. We fear no ambush. That's adorable, Kane said, deadpan. Hold that thought. He pressed a control on his chair. Behind him, the windows dimmed automatically, filtering the sunlight into a cold silver glow. On the alien flagship sensors, nothing changed, yet. On the Virex bridge, a tech officer glanced up nervously. Admiral, I am detecting faint emissions from... Silence, Vask snapped. The human bluffs. Kane took another sip, set the mug down gently, and leaned forward so his face filled the screen. You see, I don't do surrender speeches, Admiral. I do opening acts. And this, he gestured vaguely toward space, is just the pre-show. Vask's second-in-command stepped closer. Admiral, those emissions are originating from orbital debris fields. Wait, no, from communication satellites. Kane's smile turned almost apologetic. Oh, you found them. That's awkward. The alien bridge erupted in chatter. Vask silenced them with a roar. What are you hiding, human? Kane checked the chronometer one last time. 10 minutes exactly. I'll tell you in 10, Kane said. Right now, I've got lasagna in the oven. The feed cut to black. For a long moment, the alien bridge was silent except for the hum of the ship systems. Then Vask slammed a clawed fist on the console. Prepare all weapons, he barked. If the human wants war, we will. The comm channel pinged again. Kane's face reappeared, this time lit only by the glow of his console. Oh, and Admiral? Kane said, voice quiet, almost friendly. Try not to move your fleet too much. My gunners hate having to adjust their aim. The channel went dead again. The Virex Dominion's War Council occupied the Dread Sovereign's Grand Strategy Chamber, a circular room where star maps hung like living holograms above a polished obsidian floor. The ships of their Armada glittered on the projection, encircling Earth like a steel noose. Admiral Vask stood at the center, arms clasped behind his back. Around him, officers from multiple species fidgeted in their seats. The Trelvan observer delegation whispered in their native cliques. The more Cathy tacticians' fins twitched in unease. This human captain, said the more Cathy, is either a fool or... A fool pretending to be clever, Vask interrupted. He delays because he fears us. From the corner, a thin, amber-eyed alien with translucent skin spoke. And yet, Admiral, I saw no fear in his posture. Only anticipation. Humans bluff, Vask snapped. The chamber doors slid open. A junior officer bowed stiffly. Admiral, incoming transmission from the human vessel. He claims it is part of negotiations. Vask's mandibles flexed. Put it through. The holoscreen bloomed to life, revealing Captain Marcus Kane seated in a dimly lit room, a large display behind him cycling through video clips. The first, a stadium roaring as fighter jets screamed overhead in perfect formation. Good afternoon, Kane began cheerfully. Thought we'd take a short break from all the death threats to do a little cultural exchange. The next clip, humans in bulky suits planting a flag on the moon. Then, towering rockets belching fire into the sky. A slow-motion shot of an aircraft carrier slicing through the ocean. Your kind is obsessed with primitive machines, a Virex officer muttered. Kane's voice cut through. Machines, yes, but look closer. Logistics. Coordination. Stubbornness. We don't just build things. We build them big enough to be ridiculous, and then figure out how to use them in ways no sane species would. A new clip rolled. monster trucks launching off dirt ramps, fireworks exploding in synchronized patterns, Marines doing pull-ups in a sandstorm. Several alien officers chuckled. One muttered something about primate theatrics. Kane smiled as if he'd heard it. We like to make an impression. You'd be amazed how much of war is just making the other guy wonder if you're crazy enough to follow through. Vask crossed his arms. Are you stalling? Not at all, Kane said, glancing off screen. I just think diplomacy should involve a little more fun. Speaking of which, he tapped a key, and the screen changed to a grainy recording, a baseball game. The crowd erupted as a player slammed a ball into the stands. Sport, sneered a Virex officer. Strategy, Kane corrected. Every game is about reading your opponent, baiting them, and punishing mistakes. Same skill set, different stakes. The alien Morkathy leaned forward, studying the humans on screen. You broadcast your tactics to the galaxy? Not really, Kane said, sipping from a fresh mug. It's more like training in public, so everyone underestimates you. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. The Trelvan observers' antennae curled tightly. Vask tried to reassert control. We have scanned your planet. No major orbital defenses. No fleet in position. Even your largest surface cannons cannot reach us. Kane's eyebrows lifted. You're welcome to believe that. In fact, I'm counting on it. The Morkathy's fins flared. Counting on it? Sure, Kane said. Because if you think we're harmless, you'll keep doing exactly what you're doing. Staying put. Makes my job easier. Silence. The aliens exchanged quick, uneasy glances. Kane shrugged, casual as ever. Look, Admiral, I don't want this to get ugly. But you came here expecting us to kneel. That's not in our DNA. So let me offer you an alternative. Vask leaned forward warily. And that is? Kane grinned. Take your ships, go home, and tell everyone Earth was too boring to bother with. We'll even throw in some souvenirs, baseball caps, hot sauce, maybe a snow globe. A snow globe, the Trelvan echoed, baffled. Yeah, Kane said. Little glass thing with fake snow inside. You shake it, it's pretty. Harmless. Like us. If you don't push. Vask's mandibles tightened. Enough games. Almost enough, Kane corrected, glancing at the corner of his screen where a small timer ticked downward. We've got 7 minutes left. You want to spend them shouting, or should we make the most of this? Vask's second-in-command spoke up, hesitant. Admiral, our long-range sensors are detecting faint thermal spikes in orbit. Kane's smile sharpened just a fraction. You're good at this. Keep watching. Vask turned on him. What have you done, human? Nothing yet, Kane said. But since we're sharing culture, here's a human saying for you, don't dig a hole you can't climb out of. You've dug a very big hole. The Morkathy's voice was low, tense. Admiral, those thermal signatures are positioned in overlapping arcs. That is deliberate. Kane raised his mug in a mock toast. Cheers. The alien chamber buzzed with whispers. Vask barked for silence. You are attempting psychological warfare. Kane shrugged. It's working. The feed cut abruptly, leaving the council staring at an empty screen. In the silence, the Trelvan observer spoke. Admiral, if the human is bluffing, then he is the most audacious fool I have seen in a century. If he is not... The sentence hung in the air. Vask forced a laugh. Then we will crush him before his orbital cannons ever fire. But even as he said it, the Admiral's claws flexed against the table, and his eyes flicked, just for an instant, to the glowing dots on the holographic map now spreading above Earth. The bridge of the Ardent Resolve hummed with quiet precision. No chatter, no wasted movement, only the measured breathing of a crew that knew their captain's tone when he said, "Keep watching." Kane stood at the forward console, eyes on the tactical display. Outside, the alien Armada floated in neat formation, a predator's circle, still confident it held the advantage. "They haven't moved," said Lieutenant Harris, her voice low. "Thermal signatures holding steady on their side. No new launches." Kane nodded without looking. "Good. Let them think they're patient hunters. We'll be the deer that bites back." The countdown on the corner of the main screen hit 3:42. "Orbital stations ready?" Kane asked. "Locked in, Captain," Ensign Veles replied. "Payloads charged. Targeting solutions confirmed. Cloak integrity nominal." Kane's jaw tightened just enough to be noticeable. "Maintain cloaks until I say otherwise. No one jumps the gun." "On the Dread Sovereign." Admiral Vask paced, claws clicking against the obsidian floor. The thermal spikes on their sensors hadn't faded. If anything, they'd multiplied, faint, scattered dots across the upper atmosphere. "Explain this," Vask demanded. The more Cathy tacticians' fins quivered. "They are too evenly placed to be random debris, but they emit minimal power. Almost dormant. Decoys," Vask snapped. "Possibly," the more Cathy allowed. "Or weapons conserving heat to avoid detection." The Trelvan observer's antennae twitched. "If they are weapons, they have surrounded your fleet's firing angles." Vask snarled. "Surrounded by primitive humans? Impossible." Back aboard the Ardent Resolve. The final minute ticked down. Kane glanced toward the comms officer. "Patch me through to the Admiral." A moment later, Vask's image shimmered into view, mandibles tense. "You've had your theater," Vask growled. "Now you will." "Admiral," Kane cut in, voice calm but stripped of its earlier playfulness. "I'm done showing you the fun side of Earth. Now I'm going to show you why invading us is the worst mistake your career will ever remember." Vask's claws flexed. "You bluff." Kane leaned forward, eyes like steel. "You're mistaking restraint for weakness. That's common among conquerors right before their obituary." He gestured toward his display. The feed split, revealing live orbital camera feeds, dozens of sleek, angular platforms hanging motionless above Earth, their edges rippling faintly as cloaking systems disengaged. "Behold," Kane said evenly, "Project Iron Halo." The aliens watched as the stations came fully into view. Massive rings bristling with railgun barrels, missile silos, and arrays of what looked disturbingly like oversized particle lances. "You hid these," Vask said slowly. "No," Kane corrected. "We built them in plain sight. You just never thought our civilian satellite network was anything more than weather monitors and comm relays. Turns out you've been flying through the most heavily armed piece of sky in the solar system without realizing it." The Morkathy's voice came sharp. "Admiral, those firing arcs overlap. Any movement will bring us into multiple kill zones." The Trelvan observer's tone was tighter still. "And their railguns are magnetically anchored. Recoil will not destabilize their orbits. That is highly unusual." Kane's voice was almost conversational. "Those platforms carry tungsten rods, Admiral. Dense, fast, untraceable once they drop. They hit at Mach 10, no warhead needed. We call them rods from God. I've got 2 aimed at each of your capital ships right now." Vask bared his teeth. "An act of war." "Your arrival was the first act," Kane said flatly. "This is the counterpoint." Silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then Vask tried a different angle. "You wouldn't fire. Your planet would suffer retaliation." Kane's reply came without hesitation. "Maybe. But Earth can take a hit. Can your fleet take all of mine?" The timer hit 0. Kane gave a sharp nod to Harris. From the orbital platforms, A synchronized pulse of blue light rippled, targeting beams locking onto the alien armada. Every alien bridge officer could see the change. Dozens of crosshairs blooming across their displays, each locked to a hull segment. The dread sovereign's shields flared instinctively. Vask's mandibles twitched. "You intend to slaughter us in cold blood?" Kane's expression didn't change. "No. I intend for you to understand exactly how fast you'll lose if you keep pushing." On the alien side, the tension broke into shouting. "Admiral, the firing solutions are precise. No drift. They've been tracking us for hours. This level of coordination is military doctrine," the Morcathi finished grimly. "Not improvisation." Kane let them talk, then cut in one last time. "You have 60 seconds to break orbit and head for your jump point. After that, the first rod falls. Every minute you delay after that, more will follow. No negotiations. No do-overs." Vask's eyes narrowed. "You threaten a Dominion fleet." "I promise it," Kane said. The line went dead. The standoff. The alien fleet hung in silence, thrusters cold. On the Ardent Resolve, Kane stood unmoving, watching the sensor board. His crew held their breath. At 42 seconds, the first movement appeared, a Virex cruiser pivoting slowly, its engines lighting toward open space. Then another. By the 30-second mark, the withdrawal had begun in earnest. Harris exhaled. "They're pulling out." Kane nodded once. "Keep the targeting locks until they're clear of atmosphere. No premature celebrations." On the dread Sovereign, the War Council sat rigid. Vask's voice was low, each word bitten off. "We will leave, for now. But this is not over." The Trelvan observer replied quietly, "If you come back, Admiral, it will be." As the alien fleet broke formation and slid toward their jump vector, Kane allowed himself one long breath. The targeting indicators blinked out one by one. Valles turned in his seat. "Sir, they'll remember this." "That's the point," Kane said. "Fear's a better deterrent than treaties. They came here thinking we were prey. Now they know we're something else entirely." Harris glanced at him. "Predators." Kane shook his head. "No. Survivors. We're worse." And in the silence after the fleet vanished into faster than light, the Ardent Resolve drifted in Earth's shadow, the Predator's circle broken, the trap sprung without a single shot fired. The bridge of the USS Independence was silent. Too silent for a warship surrounded by an alien armada the size of a small moon. Screens tracked enemy formations, each ship tagged with glowing markers. Thousands of them. From orbit, they looked like a shimmering iron curtain encasing Earth. Admiral Elias Knox stood at the forward viewport, hands clasped behind his back, posture casual, voice even. "Mr. Vale, report." The young lieutenant's voice was steady, but his knuckles were white around the console. "Sir, the Armada maintains blockade formation. Weapons primed. Their flagship has just, broadcast another surrender demand." Knox's mouth curved in the faintest smile. "Let's hear it." A tall, scaled figure appeared on the main display, High Commander Drex of the Veilorian Dominion. His voice rumbled with practiced arrogance. "Humans, you have 20 minutes to disarm and prepare for annexation. Resist, and your cities will be erased." Knox's reply came with a nod that looked almost respectful. "Commander Drex, I appreciate your punctuality, but I'm afraid we must decline." Drex blinked, as though unsure if he'd heard correctly. "Decline?" "Yes," Knox said lightly, as if turning down an offer of tea. "We have other plans for the afternoon." The alien's jaw twitched. "Plans? Your fate is sealed. You are surrounded." Knox let the silence stretch just long enough for the bridge crew to feel the weight of it. Then he stepped closer to the comm pickup, his tone still conversational. Commander, do you know what happens when you corner a species that climbed to the top of its food chain on a planet where everything tries to kill you? We don't panic. We prepare. Without another word, he gestured to his tactical officer. The ship's exterior panels shifted, revealing the hidden mouths of Earth's orbital defense network. Hundreds of massive cannons, previously disguised as communication satellites, pivoted toward the Armada. Nox spoke again, but this time, his voice carried a steel edge. You came here thinking you'd see fear. You're about to see the reason no one gets a second chance with us. The trap springs. 3 sectors away, cloaked drones relayed targeting data. What looked like Earth's outer trade routes had been cleared weeks earlier, not for safety, but to give firing lanes for weapons hidden beneath refitted asteroid mining platforms. Nox hadn't told the Galactic Council about the upgrades. He hadn't even told most of his own fleet. Humans didn't bluff with guns. They bluffed with loaded guns and an exit plan the enemy never saw coming. The first volley came not from the Independence, but from the far side of the solar system, kinetic slugs traveling at a fraction of light speed. Each slug was invisible to the naked eye until it passed through a Veilorian cruiser like a knife through paper. On the bridge, Veil swallowed. Impact confirmed. Multiple enemy losses. Sir, they're scattering. Nox's gaze never left the viewport. They should. That was the polite warning shot. Alien panic. Inside the Veilorian flagship, chaos bloomed. Drex's aides shouted over one another in 3 different languages. Sensor officers couldn't keep up with the damage reports. High Commander, our forward wing is gone. They didn't target engines or weapons, they vaporized command decks. Drex slammed a clawed fist into the armrest. Humans don't have that kind of range. They can't. From the far corner, his diplomatic advisor spoke quietly, almost fearfully. Commander, perhaps they can. Banter before the storm. Back on the Independence, a calm request came through from Drex. Nox accepted it instantly, his voice warm. Commander, I trust the introduction to our neighborhood was memorable. You dare, Drex began, but Nox cut him off with a raised hand. I dare, because you came here threatening to erase our cities. Tell me, do you know how many civilizations have said that to us over the centuries? Drex snarled. You will be exactly where we want you, Nox finished smoothly. Your ships are in firing arcs. Your supply lines severed. Your retreat vector gone 10 minutes ago. The alien's eyes flickered. You lie. Nox smiled, not the friendly kind, but the kind that had gotten him court-martialed twice and promoted 3 times. Try me. The reveal. Across the system, human fleet elements decloaked. 2 carriers, 12 destroyers, and a wave of autonomous gunships moving like a steel tide. Nox finally let the mask slip, voice dropping into something cold enough to make even his own crew shiver. You thought you were negotiating with prey. You've been dining with predators in formal wear. The final offer. Commander Drex, Nox said, I will give you one final offer. Leave now, and tell the galaxy what happened here. Or stay, and we'll have to explain it with debris fields. Drex hesitated, his pupils narrowing. The sound of his aides whispering urgent retreat plans bled into the calm. Nox leaned forward, almost kindly. It's not personal. You just made the mistake of thinking humanity would kneel. Silence in the stars. For 3 tense minutes, neither side moved. Then, one by one, the Veilorian ships began to turn away, jumping to faster-than-light speeds. Veil exhaled loudly. Sir, they're leaving. Nox finally allowed himself a grin. Good. Let them run. Word will spread faster than any beam weapon we have. Epilogue. Not over. Hours later, in the quiet of his ready room, Nox reviewed a single encrypted message from Earth Command. Phase 2 approved. He closed the file, eyes narrowing. The Armada hadn't been the real threat, just the opening act. The real enemy was still out there, and humanity's trap was far from finished. Knox poured himself a cup of coffee, muttering to no one in particular, "Let them think we're done. That's when they'll come closer." And when they did, humanity would be ready, smiling, polite, and armed to the teeth.